What actually happened the night Stunna Girl was arrested? She was in Mooresville, North Carolina, riding in a black and white Mercedes when police pulled the car over during a routine traffic stop.
Stunna Girl found herself behind bars Thursday night in North Carolina after she was arrested for failing to appear in court in a nearly decade-old case.
The exact reason for the stop hasn't been made fully clear in public reports. But what matters is what came next. During the stop, officers ran the information of the people in the vehicle, including Stunna Girl. That's when they discovered there was an active warrant for her arrest sitting in the system. This warrant wasn't for anything that happened that night. It was connected to an older criminal case that had been open for years. Once the warrant popped up, things escalated quickly. Police placed her under arrest on the spot, transported her to the Iredell County Detention Center, and went through the normal booking process. That included fingerprints, paperwork, and of course, the mugshot that is now everywhere on the internet. She didn't spend a long stretch in jail. After being processed, she was held for a short period of time and then released after posting a $3,500 bond. So this wasn't a situation where she disappeared for days or weeks. It was a fast in and out arrest triggered by a warrant that finally caught up with her. To really understand why this happened in 2026, we have to go back to 2017. Years before the viral mugshot and the current headlines, Stunna Girl was charged in North Carolina in a case that involved trespassing and resisting a public officer. It wasn't something that dominated national news at the time, but it did put her into the court system there. According to court records, she was supposed to appear in court more than once in connection with that case. At least 2 of those court dates reportedly came and went without her showing up. When someone misses a scheduled appearance like that, judges can issue what's called a failure to appear warrant. That warrant stayed active for years, while her music career grew, while she dropped songs, shot videos, and built a bigger fan base. That old warrant was just sitting quietly in the background of her record. It didn't go away on its own, and North Carolina's system didn't forget about it. It was just waiting for her name to pass in front of law enforcement again. Fast forward to the 2026 traffic stop. Officers run her information, see that failure to appear warrant from the 2017 trespassing and resisting case, and they are legally required to act on it. That's why a simple stop turned into an arrest almost 10 years after the original charges. Now that she has been picked up on the warrant, the court has set a new date, July 28th, for that old case to finally come back in front of a judge. So this situation is less about a brand new crime and more about the system forcing her to deal with unfinished business from nearly a decade ago. To understand why people are talking about this so much, it helps to remember who Stunna Girl is in the culture right now. She broke through with her track Runway, which went viral on TikTok and helped push her from regional buzz to a wider audience. That song and others that followed built her image as a confident, aggressive, fashion-forward rapper who doesn't mind controversy. Over the years, she's been part of reality TV conversation, social media drama, and different allegations and stories about her past. Some of those have involved serious topics like previous arrests, accusations, and rumors that fans still bring up every time her name trends. Because of that history, anytime her name shows up next to the word arrested, people immediately connect it to a bigger narrative about her life, not just one isolated incident. For supporters, she's someone who has survived a rough past and turned it into success, using music and personality to build a brand in an industry that isn't easy for anybody, especially women. For critics, this new arrest feels like proof that she never fully left that past behind, and that legal trouble will keep circling back around her. That's the backdrop for this latest situation. A rising rapper whose public image has always mixed toughness, glam, and drama. Now let's talk about the part the internet can't stop talking about, the mugshot. Usually when a booking photo hits the internet, it's used as a visual for news coverage and maybe gets a few reactions. In this case, the mugshot became the story. Once the photos started circulating, fans and blog pages locked onto the fact that Stunna Girl looked almost photo shoot ready. Her hair was laid, her makeup was on point, and her lashes were done. People started joking that it looked less like a jail photo and more like promo for a single. On Instagram and X, you can see comments calling it a 10/10 mugshot, album cover material, and proof the face card never declines. Some fan pages edited the image into fake cover art or added graphics and fonts like it was a real release. Others reposted it just to say she looked better in a mugshot than most people do on their best day. That kind of reaction says a lot about how online culture works right now. Instead of focusing first on the legal situation or the history behind it, a huge chunk of the conversation shifted toward the visuals. How good she looked, how unbothered her expression seemed, and how the whole thing could be turned into content. In a way, the mugshot ended up functioning like free promo, not because the arrest is a good thing, but because every repost kept her name and her image at the center of the feed. If you were wondering whether Stunna Girl was embarrassed by the whole thing, her social media says the opposite. Very soon after she was released, she logged on to Instagram and started interacting with the moment in a way that matched the vibe of her fans. In one story, she reposted her own mugshot and wrote, "They said mugshot, but she only heard the first part," turning the situation into a punchline about how good she looked. In another, she joked, "Not right after my lash appointment," leaning straight into the detail that people had already been obsessing over. She didn't stop there. She also posted mirror selfies in a light pink matching set with just done nails and laid-back hair, giving the impression that she was back to normal life, unbothered, and even a little amused by how big the mugshot had become. When big pages shared the photo and wrote up the story, she reposted them with short reactions like "OMG," showing that she's fully aware of how viral the moment is. On X, she took the energy further, reportedly saying the mugshot would eat as an album cover. All of this fits perfectly with the bold, confident persona her fans already know. Someone who doesn't dodge controversy, but instead flips it into part of her brand. The fan reaction has split into a few clear groups. On one side, you have people who are all about the look. They're leaving comments about the makeup, the hair, and the expression, treating the mugshot like a style moment instead of evidence from a booking. These are the fans who repeat lines like "face card never declines," who see her confidence as part of why they like her music in the first place. For them, the way she carries herself through drama is part of the appeal. On the other side, you have people who are more uncomfortable with how lighthearted the conversation has become. They point out that this is still a real court case with real charges attached to it, even if those charges are old. They worry that constant memes and edits turn serious legal issues into something people forget about once the trend is over. Then there's a middle group that likes her, enjoys the humor, but still keeps the context in mind. They'll laugh at the lash jokes and the album cover comments, but they also acknowledge that her history with the law and past accusations are part of a much deeper story. That mix of reactions is pretty normal for celebrity culture now. Big moments don't just get one clear response. They turn into a debate about fame, accountability, and how much we let looks and personality shape the way we judge a situation. So what does all of this mean for Stunna Girl's career in the short term? Based on what we've seen so far, she is not treating this like a career-ending crisis. She still has shows on the books, including club appearances and performances on the West Coast. She's promoting music, posting outfits, and keeping her page active. That sends a clear message to promoters and fans. She wants this to be seen as a legal issue that she has to handle, not as a moment that will put her career on pause. For artists in her lane, momentum is everything. As long as she can keep performing, dropping music, and staying in the conversation. She has a chance to frame this as just another twist in her story, rather than a defining downfall. Of course, everything depends on what happens in court. If the July 28th appearance leads to the case finally being resolved with a fine, probation, or some other manageable outcome, she can more easily move past it and treat the whole thing as old business, finally closed. If things get more complicated, or if new legal problems stack on top of the old ones, the narrative gets harder to control. Right now, though, from the outside looking in, she appears focused on keeping her image strong and her schedule moving, while the legal system does what it does. This situation also opens up a bigger conversation about fame and the way we treat mugshots and arrests online. We've seen other celebrities have their booking photos go viral and turn into memes, edits, and even merch. Sometimes, those images end up helping their bad girl or bad boy brand instead of hurting it. With Stunna Girl, the reaction has followed that pattern. Her critics see the mugshot as another example of a messy legal history, but her fans see it as proof that even at her lowest-looking moment, she still shows up camera-ready and confident. The risk with all of this is that the legal system can start to feel like just another content machine. People share the photo, laugh at the captions, maybe argue about it for a couple of days, and then move on, while the person in the photo still has to show up in court, talk to lawyers, and deal with whatever sentence or outcome comes next. At the same time, it's understandable why artists lean into the viral aspect. If the image is going to be everywhere anyway, some would rather own it, joke about it, and turn it into part of their story, instead of letting it exist only as something negative. For someone like Stunna Girl,